It's midweek. Hello and welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this edition, former Finance Minister Seth Terkper criticizes government for relying solely on treasury bills to support its expenditure, warning it is not sustainable.
We cannot sustain the economy on treasury bills. So in advance, what we are doing, we are increasing the public debt, because we don't have a payment mechanism. The sinking fund is no more.
Also in this bulletin, utility tariffs to be reduced for some category of electricity consumers from April 1, while other users will witness no change in payment from April to June this year. Meanwhile, consumers of water will witness no change in tariff. We are live with the Association of Ghana Industries on what this would mean to their cost of operations. Later on the Joy Business Van, we will highlight furniture design company Tekura, which is projecting Ghanaian culture and artistry. We have details of these and many others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojobaka. Let's now settle for the details. Former Finance Minister Seth Terkper says government cannot sustain its expenditure solely from treasury bills. According to him, the government needs to restore its credibility and be able to settle its domestic debt on time in order to restore investor confidence. This, he said, will help bring in foreign earnings as well. He was speaking at a PFM Africa Tax Network's media engagement in Accra. More in the following reports.
Speaking at a media dialogue on Ghana's IMF program, the former finance minister Seth Terkper wants the government to ensure prudent management of its debt portfolio instead of solely relying on the short-term treasury bills to finance its operations.
Because after all, it's government that is fueling, it's a loan, it's a debt. So government, that's how come we did a 2015 World Bank bond. A substantial portion was used to pay off the first sovereign bond and domestic bonds which we had issued for single span. And that is what made government credible that, after all, government can pay. And so you saw even foreigners coming into our market and giving us money, right? So we just have to go back to some of these things that worked for us. We cannot sustain the economy on treasury bills. I've said that. Why? Because treasury bills is 3 months. So at the end of 3 months, you must pay. And if you cannot pay, then... So in advance, what we are doing, we are increasing. We are increasing the public debt, because we don't have a payment mechanism. The sinking fund is no more.
Seth Terkper also cautions the government on the ramification of not including the nation's arrears as part of the total debt stock.
When we analyze the next review or we look and read, we should be cognizant of the fact that some measures are qualified. And the fact that we are doing well may not necessarily mean. If we're doing the primary balance, we're good at indicating that we are doing well, I can assure you that we would have settled the domestic debt and we would have started issuing 3-year bonds. But because the primary balance is not adequate, because what is keeping you out of the market is because you are owing them. You are owing them not just interest, but you are owing principal. So the primary balance is not enough. You have to do more, And we haven't even added debt repayment here. We are only talking about arrears. So the tendency to leave out arrears, whether it's bailout costs, whether it is FinSec costs and others, and say we are doing well, has hurt us before. And we must be very mindful, that it could hurt us again.
The media dialogue serves as a platform to engage key media personalities and experts on national economic-related issues.
On to some other stories. The total value of mobile money accounts held by commercial banks reached over 18 billion cedis at the end of last year. That's according to the 2023 FinTech report released by the Bank of Ghana. The following report has more.
Described as balance on float, the loss-covering operations of mobile money companies in Ghana require the telcos hold these accounts with the commercial banks. So for instance, if someone has about 10,000 Ghana cedis on his or her wallet, that money will be kept at a particular bank. The move was to ensure the commercial banks are not left out of this whole mobile money growth and transaction. The FinTech report puts the balance of float ending December 2023 at 18.5 20.3 billion Ghana cedis, representing a 40% jump from what was recorded in 2022. The total value of mobile money transaction ending December 2023 reached 1.9 trillion Ghana cedis. This also represents almost 80% jump from what was recorded in 2022. The FinTech report put the total registered customer account ending 2023 at 65.6 million, up by 19% from what was posted in 2023.
All right, so let's bring in the telecoms chamber, and Louise Bobiose is the regulatory and research lead at the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications to help us analyze this. Thanks so much, Bobio. Good to see you once again here on Business Live. First off, do you think that with the level of financial inclusion in transactions that have gone on for the past years, this upward adjustment for mobile money account has been long overdue, you would say?
Many thanks for having me on the platform. I would like to, referencing the same data you were looking at, the FinTech data from the BOG, what you would realize is that if you track from 2020 through to 2021, 2022, 2023, you find that the total value of transactions has jumped from 500 billion in 2020 to 900 billion in 2021 to over 1 billion in 2022, and then close to 2 trillion, over 1 trillion in 2022, and then close to 2 trillion in 2023. So the need for the industry to, should I say, create more room for Ghanaians to be able to do more with the funds they have, in their wallets, I think, should I say, like the need had arisen. So hence the reason why, the daily and monthly transaction limits were increased for our customers.
That means customers would have to be vigilant in order to avoid fraud, right?
On the conversation of fraud, I think what is more critical is that, fraud, as we all know, would always be with us. Whether someone has 100,000 or 10,000, the key thing is for us to be well educated and well armed with the tools needed to ensure that we do not get defrauded. And for us as an industry, we are committed to ensuring that the education continues, not only from the chamber perspective, but our individual members as well. Constantly, educating our customers on the things they should do to avoid being defrauded. So I think the as to whether or not the increases in the daily and monthly transaction threshold or the balance limits they have would lead to fraud. I think what we should be looking at is ensuring that the customer is well educated and well equipped with the necessary tools to be, and also the necessary knowledge to ensure that he or she or they are not defrauded.
Great, thank you very much, Louise Bobiose, Regulatory and Research Lead, Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. We are indeed grateful for your time here on Business Live. Let's switch topics to some other stories. And the Chief Executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mark Bedua-Boaji, is calling on the central bank to put prudent measures in place to stabilize the local currency. His comment comes as a result of the depreciation of the cedi. Now, Joy Business can confirm that the cedi has crossed the 16 cedis mark and selling at 6 cedis 02 pesos. Now, speaking earlier on the marketplace, Mark Bedua-Boaji said a steady depreciation of the cedi will still have a negative impact on businesses, hence the need for the central bank to intervene.
I think the depreciation is actually consistent with what we have been experiencing at the beginning of every year, on the back of the increased demand for the dollar to import during the Christmas festivities. We imported a lot of things. There's a time that those who imported are paying, so there is pressure on the dollar for those who are importing. Also, the multinationals, largely, some of them will be transferring money to their host nation. So it's consistent with what we have been experiencing in most of the first quarters for the past years. But to start the year around 12 and now you are reporting around 13, if you are doing a huge dollar-denominated transaction, then you know the impact of it. It may look insignificant, may look small, but if you are doing a transaction that is costing you billions of dollars, then it fits or adds up into your cost. So for us, we are very much concerned anytime the cedi depreciates, no matter how small it may be. Even if it's $0.1, it translates into a huge cost to any business that is working with the dollar. So I think that we have to do more to stabilize it. At least we have enjoyed some stability with the coming of IMF, looking at the latter part of last year, and then also even at around December, we realized that the city was moving around 11, 9, 12, 1, 2, and 3. But at the rate at which it is moving now, I think we need to quickly move in to halt it. So we'll call on the central bank using the monetary policy to see how best they can stabilize the currency for businesses.
Yeah, so I mean, the reason for the depreciation we are witnessing is as a result of a surge in corporate demand, essentially foreign companies repatriating their profits. Now, one of the things your chamber has pushed for is for government to task multinational companies to keep dollar revenues in local banks.
Yes, I think, I mean, that's one of the, for us, solutions that we gave to resolving this persistent depreciation of the city. If we allow these multinationals at the beginning of the year to transfer all the profit that they have made, in fact, they bring in the dollars, but they work with cedis. Once the revenue, most of them also come in the form of cedis. So if they want to repatriate their profit, usually they have to convert it because, I mean, you can't send a cedi to America. You have to convert it into the dollars, and that puts a lot of pressure on the city. So we have advised that I think you should have a one-on-one discussion. I think there is something actually going on, but as to whether it's working is something that we need to interrogate further.
One of our headline stories, utility tariffs will be reduced for some category of consumers, while others may witness no change from April this year. This was captured in the first quarter tariff review report by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. George Biafe has the rest of the story.
Based on the report, there wouldn't be any changes in the tariffs for lifeline consumers, that is, persons that consume up to 30 kilowatt per hour. Residential users that fall within the bracket of 0 to 300 kilowatts per hour will also not witness any change to their tariffs from April 1, 2024. Residential users that are consuming about 301 kilowatts per hour will however witness a reduction of 6.56% in tariffs. For non-residential consumers that consume up to 300 kilowatts per hour, they wouldn't witness any change to their tariff plans going forward, that is from April 1, 2024. But for those that consume more than 301 kilowatts per hour, they will witness a reduction of almost 5%. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has also reviewed the tariff band for industries. Industries that are under the special low tariff, low voltage consumers will experience a reduction of almost 5%. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission noted that this review is in line with changes in factors like the city's performance, generation mix, and inflation, which influences the tariff adjustment for every quarter of this year.
And it is important we have a discussion on the back of this. Joining us via Zoom to do that is the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries, Chionam Apelu. Chionam, thanks so much and good to see you once again here on Business Live. And I want to know your position on this. The reduction in electricity tariffs, really, does it come to you as a good news for industry to cut costs of production, you would say?
Thank you, Pius, and thank you for having me on your show. Yes, it's generally a welcome news. If you recall, AGI has been at the forefront of advocating for this type of reduction because you realize that about 30% of our entire cost of production goes to power. And so power constitutes a major component of the cost of production. And so reduction in the cost of power is always going to contribute significantly to the production process. It's also important to recognize that there's also a reduction for the household consumers, which is good because then it frees their disposable income so they can spend more money in consuming the product we produce. And also that's really significant for us. But whilst we are at it, it's important to mention that we would ask that the reduction continue and that we want to see more reduction because our goal is to be competitive. We want to compete with countries that sell power in single digits, like in Ethiopia, for example, who sell power about 8 cents per kilowatt hour. because in the aftermarket, all of us are expected to compete. And so even though the tariff has gone down, it's still very high. So whilst we welcome the news, we believe that there's more room for improvement in terms of reducing the tariff.
4.98% for industry. How significant is this? And really, looking at the long term, how sustainable would that be for your members?
Well, of course, there's reduction. So once there's reduction, it is expected that there will be gains. But in terms of being competitive, we are not as competitive. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there are other countries we are competing with are buying it at a lower rate. So we are not competitive. However, in terms of sustainability, because the authority is saying that this rate is informed by factors including inflation, the reduction in inflation. So what it means is that should inflation rate goes up, we're likely to see an increment in the cost as well. And that's where our fear is. Our hope is that in the future, they will have a mechanism that allows for stability in the reduction of the cost of power. But as it is now, yes, inflation is down, but as you rightly mentioned in your previous bulletin, the exchange rate is beginning to go up, and so the cedi is beginning to suffer again. Our fear is that there may be chances that they would increase the cost of power as a result. So we are asking the authority to continue to create a mechanism that ensures that there's stability in the reduction of cost of power, because what we want to achieve is a single-digit cost of electricity.
Chana Mapelu, we are grateful for your time here on Business Live to have you on Speak to Us. This is still Business Live.
Thank you for having me.
More for you after this break. And that's how we part company here on Business Life with me, Pius Kojo Baka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. See you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.